Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. We are the Hologrumps and we are live here after the last episode of Star Trek Picard titled Broken Pieces. So before we get started, if you like what you see here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because it really helps out this channel.
Yeah.
Right, Colin, should we get straight into the review or do you want to talk about how you felt about the episode?
My feelings. Do I want to
Yeah,
talk?
your feelings.
Are you a ship's counselor? Preface: it wasn't the worst episode out there, but it certainly wasn't good. It was just not Star Trek again. Once again, it was lacking in that quintessential thing for being Star Trek, an interesting plot.
Yeah, and Picard tried to talk about a world of optimism in the episode, of course, and it's kind of non-existent in this world. But that's neither here nor there.
So this episode was written by Michael Chabon, directed by Maya Vrillo, who directed The Impossible Box, where Nadek tricks Soji with his impossible box being impossible.
It was never going to work.
Yeah.
Right, so once again, we open with another flashback. And as usual, 14 years ago.
Why?
Colin,
I don't care. Why is it constant with the flashbacks? It's just ridiculous. Start now, please. Just go.
Maybe they should have just had one episode at the start, all set in the past.
Yeah, it would have suited better.
It actually would have worked.
And it would have all just put it all jumbled up there, and we have to figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Let us be the detectives of this show. Let us figure things out, not just have, again, as you said, have ideas mentioned in an episode that are then explained in that episode.
Yeah, it's funny, he mentions somebody called Jonna, which we'll get into in the episode, and I said, who's Jonna? And Colin says, oh, it'll be explained later on in the episode. As is usual.
Yeah.
They just set something up at the start and then it's explained later. So we get a voiceover with Commander O, and she has Vasha's angels in a circle. And Rizzo and Ramda are one of the angels, and they get shown the secrets of the Zat Vash by Commander O, and they do literally want to gouge their eyes out. The only thing I have with this problem with this gigantic secret is they're really setting themselves up for a huge letdown if this secret doesn't actually make us want to kill ourselves.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna kill myself because of this. It doesn't make any
I know,
sense.
no, I'm joking. I don't actually want to gouge my eyes out after this, but I mean, how is it ever going to live up to this?
It's not. This feels like I don't know if you played Mass Effect.
Yes.
It feels like when they finally get the AI that the Reapers are going to come along and assimilate everyone. It'll be like, you've reached this level of technology, die. That's or it's like the AI from 200,000 years ago are going to reappear because there's now AI here, and that was like the agreement that if any sentient race should ever recreate any AI, we'll be back.
And this story is a gigantic dumpster fire. Like this, the whole story about the whole story about the AI that are coming back to take over the world or are going to destroy everything. I mean, the universe is infinitely vast and large, and we've come across AI many times in Star Trek. And why is it so important that this particular AI has made the Zat Vash start up all over again?
Yeah, like they did nothing for Commander Data.
Nothing.
You can they say, yes, and upon hearing about Commander Data, Commander O joined Starfleet and wormed her way in. To what end?
Would it not have been prudent enough just to try and assassinate Data? Were there many Romulans attempt to assassinate Data plotlines?
No, there was none. I know a few Romulan cyberneticists who'd love to meet you.
Oh dear, let's forget about that. So yeah, so we get back to the Borg cube, and we have a fight scene with Elrond, and it seems nobody believes in blasters.
No, but it's a dying skill. Although they did come in with blasters, they just didn't use them. They just saw he had a sword and they just went, I'm gonna club you with it. I'm gonna beat you over the head with me.
Yeah, so sure, why not?
Seven shows up to save the day because Elrond isn't actually unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I thought he was just unkillable.
Yeah, they needed somebody with a blaster. And Elrond gives Seven a big hug. And we get our opening credits.
Crawl.
Oh no.
It is just a crawl, isn't it?
So Rios is a tad bit shocked to see...
Shook.
He's a bit shook to see Doshi. But he says he'll take them to DS-12. Raffi tells Picard that Jarate probably killed Maddox.
A lot of probablys in there. Well, she probably killed him. She's probably being followed, and she probably was a tracking device. Which they're all reasonable deductions, but you know.
Even though the EMH tells everyone that Jarate turned off Maddox's life support, so
it's no longer a speculation. It is now a fact,
which they know, but it's still a speculation. Picard attempts, when he finds out this news, he's kind of an apologist almost for Trek itself. He apologizes for Jarate killing Maddox, saying she was in great distress.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not her fault. She just had a rough day.
Rough day.
Yeah.
Careful, there's a dog in the house.
I know.
So I can't see. There's a box in front here, but
give up.
I know. Okay, so then we go on ahead to. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, Picard and Clancy.
Yeah.
So Picard contacts Clancy, and it's a nice, lovely little scene, you know, where Picard's in his chateau, faux chateau, and he's talking to Clancy, and Clancy just swears again.
Drops the F-bomb.
Again. Like, why not? What's the point? Like,
hubris. The absolute hubris. I hate that word.
I hate it now.
Yeah.
I used to think it was a fine word, a good word. You know, you could use it in the right situation, but now that I've been beaten over the head with it, I don't particularly like it anymore.
I think when Shaban was writing this series, he probably had like his computer open with word of the day, and it came up with hubris. So he's like, oh, that's a very good word. Better stick that into every episode. Or I'm surprised that they haven't had an episode yet actually titled Sheer Hubris.
That would be a little bit too on the nose, though.
Yeah. So Raffi mistakes the Irish hologram for Rios. Which one's he? Is the ENH, the Emergency Navigational Hologram?
Yeah.
And she tells him about Doshi, and he says, "Oh, Jana." He looks up, who is this? And he doesn't know why he thinks her name is Jana, because we find out later that this information has been erased from them by
Rios
Mios. And but what I did like is a new thing that they've introduced when the holograms are accessing information. It's like it shows their eyes kind of as if they've scanned through
glazed
the entire computer.
over. Yeah.
I do kind of like it. I know. Obviously, the Doctor never had to do that. Either they just didn't have the technology, or they just didn't want to do it that way. But I do think it's kind of nice. Just it kind of shows that this information isn't always just in their short-term memory buffer. They actually have to trawl through the computer, and
especially when it's information they can't find.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh, but I don't have that information.
Yeah, so I liked it.
Yeah, Raffi does a better job acting happy than she does drunk or high, which is
nice. I enjoyed the scene between her and the Irish hologram.
Yeah. Well, except for the accent. Yeah. That's personal pet peeve. I don't know. I find it difficult to listen to bad accents.
I'm kind of getting used to it.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, though. It's so difficult.
Now we know how Americans must feel with all the butchered American accents from Europeans coming over there.
What do you mean? Forget about.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, we end up back in the Borg cube. Seven of Ryan is stealing the cube because she can, and Rizzo is going to kill all the Xboxes because she can.
That's part of the plot. Okay, that's the Borg cube scene again, and then we move on to Picard and Doshi eating dinner. And Doshi's gone off on a tangent again. It's like the scene about, have you ever been a stranger to yourself? And she's like, you have no idea what it's like to like eggs. Do you like eggs? Do I know if I really like eggs?
Or is it
maybe
my program?
I'm programmed to... Once again. Yeah, there's a lot of these scenes in the episode of people asking Doshi about, well, what is it like to be a robot? And she keeps coming up with the same answers. It's like, oh, I do agree.
But in fairness, like, what's it like to be a human, Liam? Well, you know, crippling anxiety, depression, you know, this sense of foreboding that we're all going to pass away soon.
Yeah. The terrible feeling of waking up with not enough time to contemplate life in bed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, Doji asks Picard about Data. He made us all laugh. I wish Doji could make us laugh. But she can't.
No.
No,
She
she
usually adds an extra frown to our grumpy faces.
can't. Yeah.
Picard had a conversation with Data about how much they'll miss each other. As in, the Data says something along the lines of, my algorithms are my
I've grown accustomed to your face, basically.
Essentially, yeah, and they will notice the lack of your
being
presence.
there.
Yeah. So they did have this conversation, but I suppose Picard has the Uromatic syndrome, so he can't remember, maybe. But Doshi,
the writers just didn't care about Nemesis. It didn't do well in the box office. Why bother with it?
it could have been a deleted scene, but I think them deleted scenes were canon.
Who knows?
Yeah. Raffi makes small talk with the hologram Q. Raffi makes small talk with the hologram.
You're just making up your own thing. Riker making small talk with a Q.
I know.
God, that'd be great.
That's coming up. Hopefully.
Imagine.
Captain Crandall.
Yeah, it was 200,000 years ago that the Q ascended to godhood, and that's when they created AI. And all the Q are actually AI that have ascended past corporeal bodies.
You know what? They're probably going to do that. They're probably going to have an origin story of the Q continuum.
Yeah, because we need that. We really, really need that. We really need to know how to achieve omnipotence.
They'll just steal it off of Stargate and like the ancients, how they all ascended.
Yeah, their bodies got frail, their minds got big.
Yeah,
couldn't handle all their knowledge.
To a greater plane.
And,
yeah. Sure, the stories there. Just take it off Stargate.
A bit.
No, don't. We're not being serious.
Please don't do that.
So Rios is reading Surak, most important of Vulcan philosophers. And whilst he's rooting through his stuff, well, actually, he's not reading it; it's on his table. But whilst he's rooting through his stuff, we get to see a really bad Photoshop of him and his old Captain
Vandermeer.
Why do they all have such complex names?
Why didn't we write it down?
Probably for that reason. I wasn't catching what his name was. Captain Vandermeer.
I'm gonna call him Vandermeer.
Like, can I not just call him like Captain Chad or Captain Block?
Captain Picard.
A nice strong name that we'll all remember.
Janeway.
Yeah, all the names have far too many syllables to just roll off the tongue.
Marta Maricosas.
Martha Martinez.
I don't know.
Martinez.
Anyway, he's looking at this picture and it's really bad Photoshop, but then he takes out a drawing and obviously it's heavily implied that it's Soji in the drawing.
Yeah, we can see it backwards. And you said it looks like Charlie Day.
The drawing of Rios in the past looks exactly like Charlie Day.
Oh no, that wasn't Rios in the past. That was the ambassador, I think, from the planet.
No, because he was wearing the Starfleet uniform.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he does look exactly like Charlie Day then.
Yeah. Well, if you just shaved his beard a little bit. But back on the Borg cube, Seven decides she's going to activate the Borg.
I mean, what else is there to say? I didn't write anything else, so.
Yeah, your next note is just Chateau Picard.
Yes, we return to Chateau Picard. And Raffi is talking to all the holograms, trying to figure out why they recognize Doshi as someone called Jonna. I actually enjoyed the scene.
Yeah, it was good. It's a scene that you couldn't have done in the original series. Not in past Trek, because having that many people would have just looked jarring.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to stick them all in the scene cohesively like that. And it worked really well with the technology that we have. I wish they'd used the technology they have for more clever things like this than just, oh look, lots of explosions and
lens flare.
Yeah,
I love lens flare. I just love lens flare. Best thing about any show.
So we go back to Jarate and Picard. I mean, this show has so many scene changes.
The fact that it starts off, this scene starts off with a point of view where she's like opening her eyes, and it's like, why? I'm not in a video game. I felt like I was starting Skyrim, and it's like, oh good, you're awake. You were caught trying to cross the border.
We're almost there. Yeah, so Picard tells her that she'll have to surrender at DS-12 for killing Maddox.
Which is fair,
Jarate tells Picard that she did it because because poisoned my mind. She put her poison into my brain. And it's like, why don't you just tell him she did a mind meld? I think we all understand exactly what that is. I'm pretty sure she knows what that is. It's like, she never even used the word mind meld. She was like...
It was more like a mind transplant.
Yeah.
You know? Here's my thoughts about things. Here's the things I've seen.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Whatever.
Who said hubris? I've written down...
She said hubris. Again.
So Jarate said it was to do with the hubris, and all I was thinking was hubris.
Again.
Hubris.
Again.
I know.
I don't care anymore.
That'll be the Admiral Clancy's ship. She'll show up on the USS Hubris.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a Jarate and Doshi scene. I just put ... which implies that it was terrible.
Boring.
It was probably another scene of Jarate saying, "So
it was. She asked him, "Oh, do you breathe? Do you blink? Do you? Oh, look, you have 3 spots."
I think we've seen this scene about 10 times in this show.
Yeah.
Of people asking Doshi, "Can you breathe? Do you have mucus?" I mean, we're really learning a lot about the bodily functions of Doshi.
Wow. Do you get hangnails?
Yes. So Jana, as it turns out, is Doshi, or a prototype from Rios' old ship, the Ibn Majah.
Ibn Majah.
The usual terrible...
Majah. Oh no, it was the Ibn Majad. Yeah.
Why can't it just be like the chest, the USS chest?
Is that just because you saw a chest?
Yeah, I was looking around the room and I saw a chest. Let's
go
open the chest.
What about like naming that after an emotion? The USS Valiant, the USS the USS Melancholy.
They've probably ran out of them all. The Defiant, the Infiltrator, the Stakeout,
the USS Explore Ship.
Yeah. So Seven plugs into the Borg cube, but just as she does, after all this build up, in fact, this whole plot went absolutely nowhere, and I'll get to that at the end. So Seven plugs into the Borg cube, and just as she activates all the Borg, they get blown out into space.
Yeah.
And I was very deflated by this. I was like, oh, maybe we're going to get a simulation scene of them going around and poning the Romulans.
Poor and then taking over the galaxy.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's a good reason why they didn't, because it would have probably led to more questions, because they're leaving the Borg cube now. As in the story's leaving the Borg cube, so it would have just left questions like, well, what about that Borg cube full of Borg that is just floating around there? You know?
Maybe we'll have Seven going around in a jetpack in space, picking up all the Borg bodies and putting them back in the ship. Borg can survive in space, can't they? I'm pretty sure they can.
They fixed the deflector dish on the Enterprise
yes, of course, yeah. So, yes.
It is impossible, but yeah.
And they were just activated just before they were all blown into space, so maybe they're all floating around. Maybe they'll start landing on planets and assimilating people. I'm joking, obviously that's impossible. So the HMS Grande crew assemble, and they're all sitting around, and we got Rios. God, I'm running out of steam here. Rios
I'll do it.
Replicates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why does this show take so long to explain things we figure out instantly? And why does it constantly tell us things at the start of the episode that we have to figure out at the end? It's really insulting to your intelligence when you're being told something at the start that you just, oh, who's Jana? Well, we're going to find out. It's okay. It's not going to be just left for 2 or 3 episodes to percolate in our mind.
The one thing I do like about the approach they take is because I'm so uninvested in the show that at least I know when something's introduced, it's usually sorted out by the end of the episode, and I don't have to laboriously wait and trudge through all this stuff.
Remember the first episode when we were like, Maddox is in this. Bruce Maddox is in the... Wow, ooh. Well, let's do some research on Bruce Maddox, see if we can dig up on Bruce Maddox. And then, it just became irrelevant. Yeah,
the problem with constantly subverting expectations and just turning things on their head is it leads people not to bother speculating, which is probably the most fun part about watching shows.
Yeah, I remember everyone speculating about like Game of Thrones or any other show.
Now, the handling of the ending for like Game of Thrones was terrible, but the speculation was great, and a lot of people were bang on with what they speculate, and their whole channels were built around speculating. But you can't do that anymore, because you just have some guy come in and say, I'm going to subvert this! And everything's just, it goes somewhere you never could have predicted, and that's not interesting. It can be at very precise moments very clever to subvert expectations, but at other times it's just so lazy. It just means,
but don't worry, Liam, it's okay, we're getting on with the story, because Soji has found a transwarp drive, and
they've found another way to counteract having to actually travel through space time,
as opposed to using editing. Why couldn't they just edit it?
Why couldn't they just
really, why couldn't they just say, yeah, we're on our way there, let's go there?
Yeah, see, because of course it's a TV show, we don't have to watch them in warp transit the whole time. It might be a way to move their characters forward a little bit, like just have a scene for about 10 minutes of them in the ship, cutting between different.
But that's the thing, like the old series used to go like, how long until we're there? 6 hours, and then you get a small scene. You get a small scene of something else happening.
Yeah,
even a 10-minute scene of them in 10 forward. And then it'd be like, Captain of the Bridge, we're arriving at such and such a place. Okay.
It's like even like a Nemesis, like when they're going to the planet where they found B4, and Picard is like, right, well, if anyone needs me, I'll be in the gym. Remember after they're joking about how they're going to go to the Betazoid wedding.
Yeah.
And so they deprive themselves of little gags like that for people just to say, oh, I'll just be waiting in my quarters. As you would.
Yeah.
They have to cut that out. A nice part of Star Trek. Picard gets a real nice old man moment.
He sits in the wrong chair.
He tries to take over the ship, and it's another kind of annihilation of his character. He sits down and then, I don't know how to work this. That's what we love to see. Picard completely lost.
Classic boomer.
Oh god.
Yeah. Okay, boomer.
So typical. Then we get back to the Borg cube, and they try to capture Rizzo, but of course she beams out. And maybe they're trying to make it look like she didn't beam out, but it was so apparent and obvious that she beamed out. Okay, so she's gone. And then 7 of 9 says to Elrond, "They're gone. The cube is ours." But from the very start of the episode, even before 7 of 9 beamed on board, they were going to leave the cube anyway. They were planning to leave. They were. Yeah, they were. Do you not remember that she knew that Elrond, of course, was on board, and that they were trying to activate the Borg somehow, because that's what Hugh's plan was. And then she says, "That's it. We need to take out all of the Xboxes." And
yeah, but I don't remember them saying, "Oh, we got to leave."
No, we'll recheck that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said. Or even from the moment that they found out 7 of 9 was on board.
But to be honest, it didn't really bother me.
I just felt it was all pointless.
It was this, yeah. It was just tying up a loose end and putting more 7 of Ryan in it,
But she didn't achieve anything.
No,
she didn't even capture Rizzo. All she
didn't even, she didn't even have a profound moment, because we were like, oh god, maybe she's gonna just become a Borg queen in her own right.
Yeah, I mean that's
and
all.
Then she just gave it up. Yeah, okay.
That's all we got. We got an episode where we get to say, "Well, 7 of 9 is a queen."
But it could have been a case of like an addiction, where it's like, wow, I got to take one more hit of this drug to save all of you, and then she falls down the rabbit hole again. But it was, I got to take one more hit. Annika has work to do. Yeah.
Does anyone remember when 7 of 9 used to be a brilliant scientist and genius and used to work in astrometrics and Voyager all the time and not be a superhero?
No, I don't. I've forgotten it. Blocked it out. Can't remember.
This show makes you forget that she was primarily a scientist.
That she was smart.
Yeah. But part of the plot. I'm sure. Oh, the next part of the episode. Then, of course, I didn't write anything else down because I kind of just dozed off. They have Picard and Rios on board the HMS Grande on board the bridge.
Talking about Vandermeer.
Yeah, talking about Rios' old captain, and Picard gets his. I don't know what the purpose of this speech was. He was saying, "The Federation betrayed themselves. We all betrayed ourselves. We let hatred and intolerance thrive, but our strength is in our openness and our inclusivity. And I was like, I get where he's coming at with this speech, as in he wants, of course, to.
But why is he selling it to Rios?
Yes, that's the thing. It was completely redundant in the episode. It was obviously there because Patrick Stewart, the actor, wanted to give this speech somewhere in the show, but it was just okay. Let's just stick it in here, and then they get interrupted. They arrive at the Transwarp hub, and lo and behold, they go through, and Narek.
He hasn't been in the whole episode. Well, I assume it's Narek. It might be Rizzo. It couldn't be Rizzo.
I'd rather it's Rizzo than Narek.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, I enjoy Rizzo more when Narek's not around.
That's because I hate Rizzo. So at least I'm constantly like, come on, Rizzo, get killed.
Mess up, do something. Narek, I'm just like, what are you? He's a wet handshake. Isn't he? He is. You think everything's okay until you grip that hand. You're like, oh no!
Now I got the old fish hand.
And now I've got to commit to this.
Old wet fish.
Yeah, he's a wet fish. That's what he is. He's.
I feel nothing but boredom when he's on screen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even want him to be killed off or anything. I just want him to not be there.
I want him to. Yeah, I want him to be lost in space. I want him to just have been lost in space and given up. You know?
He's a very, very pathetic character, and the episode only benefited by him not being in it.
Well, what did you think of the episode?
Okay, so the problem I have with all these episodes is it's very hard to think. It's very hard to think, what did I think of that episode? And I suppose if you want to be honest about it, if I felt nothing after the episode, and I don't want to rewatch it, but we have to, I'd give the episode like 2 or 3 out of 10, because I have no interest in going back to it. And what's the point? Like great episodes of Star Trek, you want to revisit them. Like I'd actually enjoyed going back on the last episode just to see the scenes with Riker, Troy, and Picard. So it had rewatchability. This episode has nothing in it I ever want to see again. How about you?
I felt nothing. I feel nothing. I can't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy. There were scenes I enjoyed. It's funny because there were scenes I enjoyed in it, but I didn't enjoy it as Star Trek. I was watching these scenes and I was like, okay, that's a fine scene. Fine, that's the word. This wasn't a bad episode. It wasn't good though. I'm just dejected. I've no quantifiable way of describing how mediocre this all feels. It's like porridge. Without adding anything into it, it sustains you barely. It'll fill your stomach, but you won't enjoy it.
I'd love like a 2-hour supercut of the entire season at the end of all this.
I'd love to do a good edit of it.
It could be done.
Yeah,
this should have only been like 5 episodes.
This should have been good.
The first 3 or 4 episodes could have been 1 episode.
4 episodes. Yeah, the first 4 episodes could have been 1. He should have gotten off Earth in the first episode.
And we shouldn't have known everything and been like 100 steps ahead of Picard for the entire show, because there's been no mystery. We've just been watching old Picard
catch up to us.
Yeah, playing catch up.
We're not here to be ahead of the story. The story is supposed to provide to us. It isn't our job to fill in the blanks of the story or to be given all these pointless bits of information in the story. So much repetitive scenes of dialogue. Look, you can breathe, blink. She has 3 spots on her face. I know those words weren't said in the previous episode, but this wonderment at Doji seems to happen in every episode that she meets a new person. She's a cyborg. She's an android. We don't care anymore. It should have just been a sentence. It could have just been a sentence for everyone.
And if you want to introduce all these new things throughout the entire show, like Doji should be our eyes into the world, just like Data was exploring who he is. But the problem with Doji is she has her full emotional faculties. She also knows everything. She knows more than anyone in the entire crew because she knows everything Data knows and seemingly knows everything like any Starfleet computer would know.
And Jana knows.
And anything the Borg know because, of course, she knew where the Transwarp networks was. I mean, what's the point? Like, a contrast is...
The only help she needs is in... Getting nudged to remember stuff.
Yeah, she needs help to be nudged. That's it. I mean, like, I'm watching at the moment, of course, the Clone Wars, and our eyes, even though we're so used to the world, I suppose you could say our eyes into the world are Ahsoka, because we're watching her screw up the whole time and explore the world with Anakin and Obi-Wan. And that's kind of the approach they should have taken. There's no point giving us a character that knows everything in the whole world, and the only way she can screw up is somebody treats her wrong. Narek
also,
treats
she
her
has
bad.
a lousy personality. Really lousy personality. Just really sulky and moody and temper tantrums as well. God.
Yeah, she had a nice banging the table scene.
Yeah, she ruined that table. I'd be very surprised if that table is fixed in the next episode. It probably will be because, they're not that great at continuity. But I'd be so... I don't want to talk about the episode anymore. I don't want to. I'm done.
I'm broken.
I don't want to. I want to get breakfast.
I can see why so many reviewers have given up on the show. Yeah. I mean, what do you say about it? Other than it's a thing. It's certainly being made.
It's art. Not good art.
The other thing I loved about the ship, they have that big light in the back. Like in the bridge, you always see the window thing or whatever. What the hell is that thing? The big lights. The tree. There are five lights.
There are 4 lights.
4 lights. There are 4 lights. Yeah, and what's it? Don't know why that came to my mind. But the ship only seems to have one big room, the Aviary, in the ship. So Raffi is looking for Rios, and she seems to spend the first half an hour of the episode wandering around that one room, running into holograms saying, "Excuse me, are you Rios?"
It looks like something out of Fallout. It looks like a vault.
Yeah, it does.
Because it has the one level and the lower level. But I don't want to talk about this episode anymore. I just want this to end. I suppose we'll close it out there, will we?
I think so.
Right. If you like what you see, if you enjoy what you saw, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and, comment below what you thought, how you felt about this episode, because I'd be very surprised if you're still watching this series.
Be surprised if you're still watching us.
Yeah. God.
Subscribe to the channel. Sorry. Subscribe to the channel.
You can't censor yourself.
Yes, I can.
In editing. Okay, guys. We've been the Hologrumps. I've been Colin.
And I've been Liam.
And remember, existence is futile. Especially after Picard, because it's terrible.